Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Copeland's Corner. I am Tom Sawyer. I am filling in for Brian Copeland of the Copeland's Corner, Copeland guy. So we talk everything politics and social media, and we're all here. And we got some great people on the show tonight. We got Tony Camin, Karen Anderson, Steve. Now, Steve, you're not Steve Carey anymore, right? Or you?
That was my slave name. My full name is Stephen Carey Lassoff, so I just used 2/3 of my name for comedy.
Okay. Well, we have a terrific show for you. And before we start, I'd like to remind everybody, really important that you like and subscribe to our channel. And because you're going to find out all kinds of great things, like when the show drops and all that good stuff and who the guests are and who's coming up. And anyways, let's get started with talking about some stuff. A couple of things in the news, a couple of things out there that it looks like if RFK Jr. is going to get confirmed. So I think what we're doing is we're just basically playing Russian roulette with all these heads of departments in our government and figuring out which one is going to come bite us in the ass first. I don't know if Vegas should have odds on this, with firing everybody in the CIA and FBI and then you have RFK Jr. Apparently, I just was hearing that there's an outbreak of Ebola in Uganda. And so, of course, we'll have nobody coming to the rescue for that. So does anybody have any thoughts? Mine are with a terrorist attack. That's going to be, if you're a terrorist right now and you're looking at all the chaos, that's probably where I would be thinking.
I think there is one coming from inside the White House.
I only wish. I mean, America is at its weakest right now. So if I were an enemy, I would be thinking like, what better time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing that is like, this RFK thing, which is obviously horrible, is how long. Another Vegas line was, how long is he going to last until he butts heads with Trump and is out? If you look at his past cabinets, they were just like fired. So, not that they're going to be a better replacement, but I just think that he's too strong of a person. I think something's going to happen. I'd give him a year,
It'll be interesting to see, because I think most of the people that are there right now are pretty much sycophants and they're pretty much going to do whatever he wants them to do. So if they say back off on something, they'll probably back off on something, and make it so it's not my fault kind of thing. Whatever outbreak happens, whether it's the measles or COVID mutates into something else, their job will be to deflect anything away from the Trump administration. But I don't really know how they're going to do that with having all of the branches of government being conservative and being run by the Republicans. There really isn't any pivot on Democrats because they don't control shit.
Yeah.
Also, like, they've shut down all the communications. Like, if you're trying to find out what the tuberculosis outbreak is in Kansas City, you can't go to a government site and find that out. And so even if something happened, we would only be half informed.
I'm not really sure what the game plan is here, because to me, you're almost inviting disaster that you can't walk back.
But I think the game plan is whatever disaster comes, it is an excuse for martial law. And I think they want that because that's even more control.
Well, it's a Secretary of Defense. I think he'll lead it. Have you seen this guy?
Yeah.
Good God. He's like, he's Mr. He looks exactly like a Nazi.
Well, hold on here. He's easy on the eyes. Let's just
Those tattoos are like what white supremacists have. It's crazy to me.
Yeah. He's got those like German crosses on his.
It's wild. And he's picture of him all over the place with his shirt off, and he's, downing champagne in a hot tub. And it's like, that's the guy. I mean,
yeah. The Nazi guy with the drinking problem.
And now, have you heard the latest? They want to start calling the Department of Offense. So, I mean,
well, they're pretty offensive, so they're halfway there.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, like, I've heard people refer to his military experience and said like he's been in combat. I heard Christine Levitt today say that from her bully pulpit. Wasn't he just like a reporter in the Army?
I think that was Vance. Vance was a photojournalist.
Yeah, Vance was a desk jockey.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, he's
not
a
really
social media host. Pete is. I don't know what he did. I don't know what he did in the service, but those tattoos scare me.
Yeah, I think it was on Fox News for like about a decade or so.
Yeah, that's where he got let go for sexual inappropriability, sexual. Rather.
Yeah, well, because being a sexual assaulter / rapist is par for the course with the Trump administration.
They're not even trying to hide. They're taking away the DEI. They're just like, it's against the. It's just so open and like. I guess this is what he ran on too. I mean, he said this stuff when he was It's not a secret. It's just like this distraction and disruption,
The Christian nationalism is just killing. It just is so out there. Like they were talking about that press secretary. She's got her big cross. Everybody's got their crosses, and I can't.
And then the first person he mocks is the bishop who gave the thing because she had a compassionate Christian-like speech, and he attacked her.
Yeah,
right.
It's hard. It's politically you always see it, but to wrap their morality, the Christians, around some of these things is really just like artful, almost the way they try to do it.
Well, it just shows the delusionment of the Christian right because they chose a guy who is not the Antichrist, but is Antichrist.
I mean, doesn't
he's literally
give a
the opposite
shit about any kind of religion. Everybody.
I don't think any of them do.
No,
yeah.
None of them.
It's all about power and money and
Right.
How much we can loot this time. But
yeah,
right. Well, the whole Gaza thing is all about, it's the geopolitical view of an uneducated New York City real estate hustler.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who looks
But
at
I've
a
also
problem
signed up
and
for
says, "What
the.
can I
Just say Italian. I get it. We get it. I'm not offended.
I did sign up for the Phil Mickelson Gaza golf camp.
Oh, good.
Good.
So I'm hoping to improve my game.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey, every shot, it goes into a hole. You don't have to worry about it.
Well, it's going to be a casino soon, so that'll be fun.
yeah,
The Gaza strip.
He's going to rename it the United States. No, what did they say? The United Palace States of Gaza of America. He's going to try to rename that too. That guy, is he going to get away with this Gulf of America? By the way,
He did.
it's not. Where do they change it? Like, how does it get
on federal maps, on anything
Federal
that has
maps.
to be federal? But the rest of the world isn't. But if you ordered a new map, I can't say it's not an old map, but any new maps that are produced by the United States government now will say Gulf.
But guess what? They closed the map. They closed the map making.
Yeah.
Oops.
Is it going to be in schools where they're going to open up?
Guess what? No more schools. Part education.
I don't know. It all depends on where they're getting their stuff from. If they're getting the supplies from the federal government, if they're getting maps, but
Yeah.
schools are going to be so underfunded, and if they eradicate the Department of Education like they're trying to do, then they're going to have the teachers buy it like they do now.
Well, I think in most red states, I think, it'll be interesting to see what happens in California, because I know Gavin has gone, hey, if you mess with California in any way on a federal level, we're gonna hold back those dollars that we send to you guys. And California sends about $350 billion, is my understanding, every year in federal tax money. So, we'll see. I mean, he doesn't seem to be too shy about tanking the whole economy right now, even though I'm sure that even his people said this tariff thing, ixnay, it's going south really quickly. So we know he does react to some stop signs, but I do think it's hilarious that he took a victory lap on things that both Mexico and Canada had already had in place.
Yeah, that's the thing. He never, even I know that, and I don't really follow politics. It's like, I know that.
He has an inability to have less than a win in his book. His golf, everybody just says he lies. We've seen it. His crowd numbers bigger than ML. He just so blatantly lies.
Yeah.
So if you want to play him, it's really easy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
all he says is next question, or I don't want to talk to you, or fake news. And he just doesn't say anything back.
This Carolyn Levitt, I watched her first press conference. She talked about how there were millions and millions of fentanyl deaths. Actually, between 2003 and 2023, there was 1.1 million fentanyl deaths, but it's millions and millions. And then 2 minutes later, she talks about, America flies tens of millions of flights a day. Well, no, we do 2.9 million flights a day. But they have no qualms about embellishing to the point of lying, as long as it gets their point across. And then you try and talk the truth, and they put you on the defensive. And that's everybody down the line.
It's the boss's MO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also their empathy runs only so far. It's like hits a wall at some point. Like they don't take into consideration that, maybe the fentanyl problem has something to do with homelessness. So maybe we shouldn't like vilify the people that we're saying the poor Americans that are being whose lives are being destroyed by fentanyl coming across the borders. And then on the other hand, you go, well, screw the homeless or the unhoused, and we don't care about them, and they're just littering our city and pissing on buildings. So it's a little like they have empathy, and it just goes, it stops right dead center, and it doesn't go to its final conclusion. It doesn't. It's the same thing with abortion. You know, they don't understand nuance. You know, they don't understand. That's what they go, you're terminating a pregnancy in the 9th month. Well, if that's happening, dude, it's because somebody's dying. The child's dead, or the mother, his life is in jeopardy. That's the only reason it's happening. You know, and we don't need to check in with our senator or congressman to find out if we got the thumbs up on saving, the life of the mother or the child. That's crazy, but they don't do nuance. They have no clue on nuance, which is.
I think they have zero empathy. This thing about taking prisoners to a foreign country to be over there, or we're going to just move Palestinians, chilling Palestinians out of the way. Yeah. None of that shows any empathy. It's zero empathy, and that's them all the way down the line. And then what they do is they throw it back. Oh, it's because you guys did DEI. It's because you guys did this. Because you guys did that.
And then at the end of the day, you go over there. There's just going to be more terrorist attacks. These people aren't going. People aren't going to take this, lying down. This is just inviting bad things to happen.
Well, the thing with that plane crash. Oh, what?
No, go ahead.
I was going to say with the plane crash, that horrible thing, they're talking about DEI hires, and that's the reason that it happened. Well, it happened basically the day he got, into office. Like there's been no crashes, and it's like, but still, that's the problem when there's nothing that happened until then. Right.
And the statistics right now is that 90% of airports are understaffed in air traffic controllers. That's scary. And it's going to get worse, of course, because he's firing everybody. If they don't pledge allegiance to him, it doesn't matter how good you are at your job, as long as you're white and you want the job.
There's so many contradictory things in his policies. I'm going to lower prices, but I'm going to fire the cheapest labor we have. It just doesn't make any. It doesn't make any sense because he doesn't really have any core values. He just has, this sounds good. It's a weird position because we have a guy who hates government in charge of it. It's crazy,
Yeah,
but that's
we're seeing that. That's what we're seeing. Everybody who's in there is destroying the government. I mean, that's where their hate is bringing them. They have no qualms about ripping apart everything, like something magically is going to sprout up in its place that's going to be competent and do the same job and not hurt us.
Well, it's the same thing they have for everybody. Like someone's magically going to take care of all the unwanted children that you're forcing into the world, and you're not interested in educating them or feeding them or housing them or insuring them, but you want everybody to have one or two or three. And that's where I believe we end up with a lot more crime. Again, something more to complain about, a lot more homeless. Unwanted people generally don't do well. If you're unwanted.
Like you said, there's no nuance. They'll say crime, drugs are coming across. And that's what the drugs are coming, not the whole, the result of the drugs and all that. Those policies don't matter once it gets into the hands of the wrong people.
Right.
It's the drug.
Well, even that, like the way, if you educate people and give them drug education, people using fentanyl are the reason why fentanyl is coming in. And it's not because there's people pushing it on people and people not wanting it or taking it. We have a culture that wants to do drugs, but we spend no money on drug prevention. Very little, and now they're going to take that all away.
And isn't it funny that it seems like more and more that the things that the mob and criminals were doing now are things that are legitimate businesses are doing, like, credit card companies have loan shark percentages of interest on their credit cards, and the pharmaceutical companies are the drug dealers, and it's almost all legitimate except for prostitution. And really, as far as human trafficking is concerned, the government really isn't doing a whole lot with that either.
No.
So it's just about everything that used to be done by the mob is now done by the government.
Yeah, I expect Visa to come to my door going, "Where's my money? Give me my money."
Hey, where's Fluffy? Hey, you seem to have lost your dog. Maybe he had an accident.
I want to bring a book into here. The Origins of Totalitarianism by Hannah Arendt. She wrote it in the 50s, and she was doing a deep dive into Nazi Germany and also Russia, Stalin's Russia. But it really gives you everything that she has in that book on how it developed in Russia. I mean, in Germany, mostly Germany, is happening here. I mean, Hitler just didn't come to power and do everything. He slowly had to dismantle everything. And the way he dismantled stuff is almost a blueprint of how they're dismantling it now.
What I don't understand is the people who have been giving Trump all this money and all this power, obviously the extremely wealthy people. And Elon Musk, I get it, because he comes from South Africa, and so that's his bread and butter is being a racist white guy. But I don't get the other companies. I don't get all the companies and the other billionaires who, at the end of the day, they're really looking forward in the future to a 10th story slip and fall, because that's how Putin became one of the richest men in the world. It was by oligarchs having accidents. So I don't see why these guys don't understand that allowing a guy like Trump to have an army and then having a full hire on the FBI and CIA is a good thing for them, because we don't have the money. He's not coming for us. He can take some Social Security, blah, blah, who cares? But the big money is with Elon Musk and Bezos and all these other billionaire assholes. And it's just a matter of time before he goes, "Why am I sharing anything with you? I have an army."
Well, in Germany, you had there were some oligarchs that go, but some oligarchs stay. In Germany, you had the Krupps, and the Krupps family didn't disappear. And there'll always be people who, they're looking at a bigger picture anyway. It's beyond the ideology of racism and whatever. I'm going to get rich off of this. I can get rich off of the supplying it. I can get rich off of that. I want a workforce that has no rights, has no place to complain, is going to have to work for a lower amount of money. And I stay in the background and nobody sees me doing it. So there'll be people willing to do that.
Okay. Well, I was curious. We've already seen them. They're pretty much hitting the ground running on all the things they're messing up. But to me, there's going to be pay dirt, at least something that's going to affect Trump's base that they're not going to be able to squirm their way out of because of the fact they're in charge of everything. There's only so many other people you can blame when you're the boss of everything. So what do they do about the midterms when supposedly the cavalry is ready to come over the hill?
Going to be fascinating, but it's hopefully there'll be another blue wave, but you just never.
I can't see
the red states are so entrenched. Like that, it's just like we got to get active here.
What is that? When people voted for him and everybody, when they look at him on television, talking, what do they think that that's good? Or do they think, ooh,
I think they think he's not great, but it was better than what we have because things are so expensive and there's a lot of people coming in the borders.
Yeah, except for everything is still.
That's what I think they think.
Well, we had
Nothing's changed. What do they think that this is? Do they think, oh, everything's going to be crazy for a while, but once his plan is intact, everything's going to settle down and everything's going to be perfect for us? I mean, do they even realize what's going on?
Also, I think like, did they forget the anxiety level of the news every day? It's already been, what has it been, 2 weeks? And there's been like 2 things a day that are like, this, no way. And it gets people all mad and that runs the news cycle. Yeah. It's just such a tiring.
But not on Fox News.
It's crazy.
They don't have anxiety because really, I think what motivates them is they don't do the thinking of this will lead to this. It's like they're owning the people I want to own. They're going against the liberals, going the people I hate. Trump gives them a conduit to hate. So it doesn't even matter what he does. And most of these people, they don't care about education. They're at a lower rung of the economy anyway, so that might get harder for them, but they're already kind of poor to begin with. And the worst thing is, I really think the way Trump won this time was voter suppression. There was more voter suppression than ever before, in the millions. I think it was like 4 million. 90% of those were people of color in red states. And voter suppression started at the local level, where they had, in some states, anybody, no matter who, could call in and say, hey, I think Karen shouldn't be voting. And then all of a sudden, your vote's pulled out and they look at it and they can leave it out. They don't even have to say yes or no. So we had 4 million people who had their votes suppressed during this presidential election, in a presidential election that was decided by 2 million votes.
Not to mention who didn't vote anyway.
Yeah, and those who didn't vote, which were even greater than almost it was 154 million eligible voters, and 250 million eligible voters, and only 155 voted.
Wow.
So I don't know if the voter suppression is still at the level that it was there. We'll win in the blue states, but then again, we'll lose in the red states.
Yeah, and to me, voter suppression goes beyond what you're talking about, Steve, which does exist. To me, like the more subtle ways is making people wait over an hour in line to vote. I mean, people waiting hours in line to vote, and in California, I mean, I don't think I've ever waited 5 minutes to vote. When I wasn't voting by mail, which I have been for decades, so it's a subtle way of suppression when you cut down the poll places and you make the lines longer. You don't offer people water because that's coercing their vote, and all the craziness. I just think, I don't know. I have to think that at some point, even the people on the right who are complaining about being hit with a hammer financially say enough. These guys aren't helping us. They haven't been helping us. We gave them the keys to everything, and we're actually paying more than when the Democrats kind of were in charge. I
really thought the red states would be in bad shape, much worse shape post-COVID. Like, well, they're going to learn a lesson here, and anti-science, they're going to get ravaged, and they're just as defiant as ever. Like, no, arrest Fauci. It's just like,
I mean, has anybody lived in? I lived in Florida for 4 years, and I really got a glimpse into the mentality out there, which is they really do get angry about like if things are smarter than them. If anything, they get angry about information that they don't like, and it's not about the information. It's about where it's coming from. You get hit you'll get hit if you're smart. What are you talking smart for, boy? Kind of thing. And it's not fake. It's real.
It's almost like how that thing now where college is a bad thing because they not only indoctrinate like how these trade schools are great. It's a big right way thing, and it's like now college is bad. I
love that. Don't you love people from the Christian right and all these religious groups talking about indoctrination when that's pretty much what they do? Like no one's like Ben Shapiro's not taking his kid out and go, okay, for this month you're going to be a Muslim. Okay,
crazy.
And we're gonna see how you like that. I'm gonna do some Q&A. And we're going to talk to you about the difference between Catholicism.
And then you can pick a religion when you're done.
Yeah, you pick one out because we want you to make the decision. We're not grooming you. We're not a groomers.
Yeah.
You know.
It's all much more anti than it is pro. They don't look at like, let's do this. They go, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like the woke agenda. I don't like these lefties in college. I don't like that. They're all about, I want to say hate. And I don't know if that's really the emotion or maybe it's a little less than hate, but they would rather be against something than for something. And I have two people in my Facebook thread, an ex-boss and an ex-employee who are strident Trumpers. And I argue with them all the time because I really feel it's important to confront people with their lies. But they're not budging because they would rather own a liberal and hurt us than talk sense about what they're talking about.
Yeah, or even feed or even take care of their family. If they had a choice between like, this is something, unless it was like a gun, an actual gun to someone's head. But if it's something that you could say, okay, in 2 years from now, because of this policy, your son could face grave injury. And they would go, oh, bullshit, screw you, lib, and then find out. And that's where we are. We're in the F around and find out phase of our government, and it's crazy. Just like you said, Steve, I was accidentally talking to a Trump guy, and I just brought up the fact that Trump isn't a felon. He is a criminal, and he is an adjudicated and self-confessed sexual assaulter of women. And this guy was going, what, you're watching MSNBC all the time? I bet you wear a mask in your car when you're alone. All these like, I'm so crushed, and no, I don't watch MSNBC. And no, I just know facts. Here's me saying Trump is a felon is like saying rain is wet. Food is fuel for my body, same thing. But these guys can't even admit that he's a criminal.
It's all locker room talk.
That's the other thing I mentioned to somebody who brought up the locker room talk argument is like, I've had guys brag about their, sexual conquests and stuff and some, it's okay. It's nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've never had anybody brag about raping someone, which is essentially what he was doing when he was talking to that guy with the hot mic. He was talking about assaulting somebody. I grab women by the pussy because they let me. Well, really? They let you? How many of them haven't let you?
The lawsuits.
Yeah. And that's when they do that, then they have a choice to make whether to file charges, which most of them probably don't because they don't want to have to deal with this idiot any more than they just did. So it's people who don't understand. If someone did that to you or your daughter, how about that? All of these women that were assaulted by Trump, they are either mothers or daughters or sisters. But you apparently think it's okay if it's somebody else's daughter, mother, or sister. But what if it was your daughter? What if Joe Rogan has two daughters? He literally voted against their reproductive rights, and he voted for somebody who would assault them and have no qualms about it.
It's weird because when you're saying that, like we're saying that they don't see the where'd you see that? Where'd you see him say that? That's what a lot of people go. Where was that? I didn't see that. What were you watching? You're watching lies. My dad was kind of like that, and when I told him the thing about grabbing by the pussy, he would not believe me. He just wouldn't believe me, and I had to actually show him the video of it. And he was absolutely couldn't believe it, shocked that was a real thing. That this was like a year later or something. I was like, well, remember the thing about grabbing, and he goes, what are you talking about? Like somehow people they just don't see it and it's like one station that they watch. That's it.
And they're never going to mention it. They're never going to call him a felon on the air,
Also, in Trump's world, there's been a million things after that aren't as bad, but up there. So
right.
It
like never stops.
Like David Cross has a joke about doing a Trump joke. It's like, it's hard because it's like trying to freeze a kaleidoscope. There's so much, there's so much going on all the time. Like when you pick one thing, it's already changed, It's
like, which woman is it? Which woman was it?
Yeah. Which one? Who? How much did I pay her? What? Does she want to be an ambassador now? Like what? Whatever. Like It's
right
so
before the election, I was with someone, and they're very conservative with their head in that way. And at one point, she leans into me, and goes, "Well, you know, Harris is a communist." And this was right when the Arnold Palmer thing came in. And I said, "What are you talking about? Arnold Palmer's penis?" And I explained it to her, and she just she had to go like, "Well, I'm not going to vote for either of them." And I'm sure that disappeared in a week.
Yeah.
You know, a week later, she was right back to where she was.
Well,
So
there was this person on Kimmel, which, I know that, you're always looking for the person with the right thing to say and then pulling them aside and, vetting people. But this lady, I swear it was real. She goes, they said, "Well, what do you think about Joe Biden getting out of Vietnam because of his bone spurs?" And she goes, anti-patriotic. He's not a patriot. He's trying to get out. And then she goes, oh, sorry. I said the question wrong. I meant to say Donald Trump. Can I ask it again? And she goes, sure. And she goes, "What do you think about Donald Trump getting out of Vietnam because of bone spurs?" And she goes, "My cousin has flat feet. It's hard. It's very, very, and it's dangerous for others as well. That you're." It's so. I mean, it's so fast.
It's so typical though. It's
to
like
me that says it all.
That's
in
classic.
the meantime, we're doing the thing where somebody brings up saying, "Well, what do you think about so and so doing that?" We know it's real. We just go, "That's wrong.
Yeah.
I don't like it." When people go to me, well, Bill Clinton was at Jeffrey Epstein's island. I go, "Yeah," and I don't like Bill Clinton. I've never liked Bill Clinton. So so what's your point? Do you admire
but also,
Trump for showing up there 6 times?
Also, I think the Democrats can say, "Yeah, my person isn't person," or like, "Yeah, they fucked up," whatever, and still,
right?
It's like, yeah, they're not. If someone, "Well, what do you think of if he went down?" Like, yeah, if the Menendez is guilty, let's get him. I'm more for the platform than the people.
Yeah. Well, the same thing with Biden. I knew Biden was too old for the job when we elected him the first time. But I know there are good people that he has around him, and they're all doing a really good job because the statistics say so. Because the actual stats that are out there tell me that's true. I'm not cherry picking things to make it worse, like they do all day long on Fox. And you can do that any presidency, because you know why? It's run by human beings, where there isn't a perfect human being. There is no perfect administration. Every administration has had flaws and some much bigger than others. But, it's just ridiculous. This idea that, oh, your guy screwed up. So, but you're giving him cover. No, I own that. He did that. I say that's bad.
I admit he wore that beige suit. He's guilty. Guilty as charged. Now about these rapes you were doing.
All right, I want to get off the subject a little bit. I sent you a thing because this is like a really weird thing. I'm a big.
Don't tell the audience we know this is coming. Are we supposed to act like we don't know this?
Yes.
Oh.
Gee.
Charlie, can you edit that? So anyway, this year's Oscar nominations came out, and on a movie I honestly didn't know anything about. I really didn't know anything about Emilia Perez. And but before I could really find anything about it, the backlash came.
Movie, all right, sorry to interrupt you. That movie just got deported.
Because it was a DEI hire, basically.
Yes. But what's funny is I still haven't seen it, but I've read and heard so much commentary about it that I really don't want to see it. And the clips I have seen, my jaw has been on the floor, because I don't know if anybody's seen the movie or has seen at least Penis to Vagina. But if you haven't, it is one of the worst funny things I've ever seen. It is like hilariously bad. It's like one of those cringy, like High School Musical things that you're forced to go to every once in a while because your neighbors across the street go, "My daughter's in a play and we get you tickets because we love you, because you're nice neighbors to us." And then you go there and you just go and "Kill me, Lord." And
because you're sleeping with the wife.
I say that about my own kids' plays.
He's rubbing my leg. So I don't know.
Your kids' plays are awesome.
Has anybody?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Familiar with this?
Anybody else?
I haven't seen it.
It's what it is. So it's enjoyable. It's a story about a gang guy transitioning, that is, is right there. And then also the format where sometimes it's a movie and then they break into song. And that's hard to do.
Oh, that's a real left turn for this guy.
And there's been a couple of things that I can think of that
Taking
never worked.
Yeah.
But as a film, it was okay. I mean, I didn't think it was, I didn't have high production values for it because, first of all, I think it was made on a low budget in another country. So I didn't think it was going to be Scarface with transition surgery.
Does he break out into song in that one, the Scarface?
Yeah.
Say
goodbye to my
little
Say
friend.
goodbye to my little friend.
No, I was just wondering because 13 nominations is a lot. of nominations. So
that's Hollywood.
Yeah, that's Hollywood.
Because of what it was about, is going to do that. So
Right.
but is it a bad film? It's not. It's not awful, and it's good. I didn't. I don't know why. I think the reason why people were getting their knickers in a twist about it was because of the subject matter. And
but it's also interesting because even people in the gay community are not happy about this movie. So it's, I mean, Mexicans aren't happy about this movie. Gay people aren't happy about this movie. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of happy people about this movie. And I think it's at 16% now on Rotten Tomatoes audience score.
Ooh, that's a bad score.
Bad score, but also the star of the movie apparently is causing all these waves, being kind of a racist and kind of a bigot and kind of a this and a kind of a that.
Yeah, so I mean, everything that could possibly go sideways with this thing has gone sideways. It's like Crash before Crash even won. Except so. I mean, I've even heard buzz about them pulling some of the nominations. Or
how can you do that?
I don't know how you can do that. I don't think you can.
Can we find out you can do that with Trump votes?
Executive order. An executive order.
An executive producer order.
After suppression.
So, and because of that, what's interesting was I had read reviews about Will and Harper. I don't know if anybody's heard about this movie.
Yeah, I saw that movie.
Yeah, I've heard about it.
Yeah, it's really good.
I really liked it.
I loved it. I thought it was really heartfelt, and it was really it was so touching and interesting with these two people who had been friends all their lives, and another person is transitioning and going on this road trip to some places that were really tough. There were some scenes in it that I got really emotional about after things they had gone through, but it also shows you like the really good side of people when you're in a place that you would normally think is going to be a bad place, but people are nice to you, when they're just, it's just you, them, and a camera.
Well, Will did point out that, he helped that. Well, I guess Harper said so too. Will sort of helped that little transition, so to speak. Because,
there's this nice beloved comic and his friend.
Yeah. And there was still one of the scenes. There was one of the places they went that was not, both were not welcome there.
And then there was another place where she, Harper, went into the bar by herself.
Oh, that's true. She said, "Let me try this one out."
Yeah.
And that was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't. Yeah. But it was really, really good. And just, I mean, Will is like, and everybody says it, he's like the nicest guy in show business. And, you can see it. And he just really is. He's just.
And now he's a lady?
He's
No, it's a former writer on Saturday Night Live. Okay. All right. So anyways, I wanted to ask another thing, getting onto lighter stuff, because it's so much heavy shit. I know everybody here kind of is into the movies. So if you guys had some thoughts about last year, like your favorite films, like if you could rattle off or three, talk about them a little bit, or, 3 movies that you dug for whatever reason you dug them?
I thought you meant of all time. I got to rethink.
Godfather. All right, we'll talk about this again.
Yeah.
I saw a Complete Unknown.
I like that one. I thought it was proficient.
I liked it. I mean, I like a biopic always. I don't know why. It's like I already know the story, but I want to see somebody else tell me about it. But I like it. I like that movie, and of course, I love Bob Dylan. So,
I
but
liked.
Well, it actually made me
Aurora.
appreciate Dylan a little bit more than I had before.
Yeah.
fighting for him. I mean, it was, he is kind of he comes off a little bit dickish, but
He is, that's what
yeah.
I thought. I was a big Dylan fan, up and huge, my favorite guy for a while. And that captured him perfectly. If you watch the document, he's kind of a dick and he's not funny. But he has a nice side of him, and he's a genius. So he just
yeah.
I only saw the trailers, but I like when Joan Baez says, Bob, you're a bit of a dick. Bit of a dick.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That was good. I loved when they sang together at the festival. That was really great. No, I like that kind of movie, and of course, I liked Timmy.
I saw Nora.
I liked everything but the music.
Oh.
I don't know what's wrong with that guy's voice.
Oh,
Steve,
Nora! I want to see
movie.
Nora. Yeah, I want to see
Yeah.
that. That's next.
I saw it. This is going to be I play pickleball with a cinematographer, and he was talking about it.
Oh,
Yeah.
name dropper.
Pickleball?
Pickleball.
Oh, it's a fun game, yeah. Anyway, out there on the courts, really beautiful day. And I'm nailing it. I'm getting my serves in.
Really
Anyway,
setting the scene.
so he's cinematographer. He's talking about how all the cinematographers they just love. It's called Aurora. What is it called?
Nora.
Nora. And I loved Nora, but I even liked his previous movie called Red Rocket. I don't know if you've seen that. That is a great movie. It's one of those movies that has like real people, not like 100% actors, like that movie George Washington or something, but they're all like amazing. It's one of that, and it's it's kind of a bittersweet thing, but it's called Red Rocket. I know that Aurora is the one that got me into that one because it was his other movie, and I think that one's even better. It's a little heavier thing. But
I love that actress and Better Things.
it's the same director. I don't know his name, but yeah, that was my favorite. I think that one too, Steve.
Yeah, it was well done. It's a great character story, and
good acting.
I really like the one nice Russian henchman.
Yeah.
That he was kind of like a steadying force throughout the whole thing. That was pretty good.
Okay, now it's definitely moved up to the top of my list of movies I have to see. So.
Oh yeah, it's good, great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Are you seeing any? You got one, Tom?
I really, I like. It was a great year for horror movies. So, and I'm not generally a real horror movie guy, but
It's pronounced horror. You're a voice artist. It's not horror.
Horror.
Horror movie. Come on, Rob. I gotta get a horror movie.
I like a horror movie. Nice horror movie.
You're a vocal professional.
I'm
Let's hear
already
it.
scared. I don't have to scare the piss out of me. So I really liked. I don't know if anybody saw Oddity. If you really like to get more of a less into violence and more into being scared or jumping out of your skin a couple times.
Suspenseful.
Yeah, the writer and director out of Ireland, and it's really, really smart, a very clever movie. And I liked Strange Darling. If you want to see something very interesting, a real kind of Tarantino-esque take on a thriller, I would suggest that one.
Real quick, what was the first one?
Oddity.
Oddity. Okay, thank you.
And then Longlegs was my third favorite horror movie of the year with Nicolas Cage.
Love him.
Being over the top. Weirdly over the top.
That movie where he plays himself is so amazing.
Love that movie.
It's so amazing. You're like, this is such a good, like the fact that he agreed to it and stuff too, like, because he leans into it. And then you get a movie within that movie.
I don't understand how that movie wasn't like a smash hit.
It was so good.
Publicity.
Because it's really smart. One, it's smart, but it's not like smart, like in your face smart. It's really clever, but it's hilarious.
No, this guy will get it.
I honestly thought like the scene where they're tripping together is so hilarious when they're climbing over the wall. Well, I've watched it about 4 times, and I still laugh out loud really hard.
Yeah.
And their chemistry together is so amazing. And Nicolas Cage and Pablo, Mr. Last of Us. Is anybody looking forward to this second season of Last of Us?
Yeah, yeah. Though I like the scene where in Indonesia where the doctor discovers the fungus for the first time.
Yes.
That was the first part of the second chapter. That was done so well. And both those actors have passed away since then.
Oh,
Conspiracy?
really?
Yeah, Conspiracy.
Yeah.
Were they too close?
Well, I've just been watching a lot of Matlock, and it's back.
There you go. Kathy Bates.
She gets herself into a pickle every episode.
If not a pickleball. I've been watching a lot of Japanese stuff, so I want to ask everybody, did you guys watch Shogun?
Yes.
I
Just finished it a little while ago.
Yeah.
I loved it.
My
It's
family loved
fantastic.
it.
The actress, one of the things, I'm really into Japanese pop. The actress was a J-pop star. And I actually have like 5 or 6 songs on my phone. And I didn't realize that till I saw her on Seth Meyers. And she said, yeah, I was in this group called Fakey. And I went, wait, what? And I went back and she was a J-pop star. She was like singing and dancing and all that other stuff. But she talks about it that they were keeping her back. They wouldn't let her do acting parts. And she finally, when her contract was up, that's when she got into acting.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is one of the best written series I've seen in a long time. I mean, it's so, and it doesn't feel, I mean, it feels so authentic in just about every single aspect of it. I was having a little trouble with the British guy doing Richard Burton for the whole season.
Yeah, Cosmo something is his name. Yeah. And he was
literally, this guy's doing a Richard Burton impersonation.
Yeah.
Now, how do you think they're going to do a second season with no book?
Well, they're doing a second. Of course, they have to do a second season. It was a hit. They don't know how to leave well enough alone. It's not in Hollywood's vocabulary.
Right. It's more Emmys than any other shows.
So it's supposed to be after the fact, right? I guess.
I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. It could, well, especially since they showed what happens at the big battle, so they could do what's leading up to that, or they can do everything. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. It's almost I almost want them not to do it. Find something else.
It's so exciting. I can't wait.
And she won't be in it.
Yeah. Okay. So, does anybody want to throw one more best film that they liked? Or
I saw a real bad one called Imaginary or something like that.
Oh, that's who's in that?
That's a Blumhouse one, I think, or Bloom, whatever his name.
Yeah, Blumhouse sucks.
Just as like, everything bad, like everything's kind of lined up and be like, oh, this is bad. And I went because it wasn't supposed to be a gory. My wife doesn't like the gory kind. She likes the smart thriller, intellectual ones. And that was fine with that, but it was still just like bad, So that was bad. That's all. That's my last thing.
Yeah, I'm not into torture porn. I don't like violence. When somebody's reviewing a horror movie and they go, "Oh, this one has great kills," I'm not. No, that's the one I stay away from. I'm just not interested.
Sometimes if they're to a cartoonish level, then I kind of think it's silly or funny. Like the John Wick horses, whatever. Like that's almost.
Oh yeah.
That's almost a comedic, and it has to be like at a certain tone,
Yeah, it's definitely tongue in cheek.
Or the British one where oh god, now I can't remember. He was a cop, and he was in 2 movies, 2 horror thriller movies, but they were funny. God damn it, now I can't remember them. Never mind.
Feig?
Yes.
Simon Feig?
Paul Feig? No. Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
Simon. Yeah.
So on bad movies, which is so funny to me when people who actually do this review movies for a living, and you have to watch a movie that you pretty much can, it's money in the bank that this is going to be a horrible experience. I can't do that. I don't bother. People go, how come you didn't see that movie? Well, because I don't watch movies for the sake of watching movies, and I don't have much free time on my hand where I'm going to watch a movie that I know 90%, 99% sure I'm going to hate it. So why would I bother? That said, I did end up watching, because it was on Apple TV, and I have no idea why this movie was even made. Wolves with Clooney and Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Holy shit! I mean, you got 2 of the biggest actors in the world, doing a movie that you just go, you keep waiting for the part where you go, oh, that's why they did it. You know, yeah.
It wasn't enjoyable at all, huh?
Oh,
I wonder. That's an interesting thing where you're like, you really do want to know how it got made. You know, or it's like,
Well, you know this one. You know how this one did.
You're like, is this? It's not old or owed somebody a favor or like, oh, this was gonna be someone else's movie and they last minute. Like, there's always a story, you know.
yeah. I mean, I know why every Kevin Hart movie gets made.
Yeah. That's not. No, you never asked that with a Kevin Hart movie.
How would they have made that movie? Well, somebody offered him money and he did it.
That's also that's almost like saying, "What's my motivation?" That's weird.
I'll tell you what I thought was kind of a bad. I thought it was a pretty bad movie, which I thought would be funny. Was
if it's one of my favorites, I'm going to really.
I know. I feel bad to say it because I really like the actor. Is Poolman?
What is it?
Poolman. It was with, Chris.
I think I lasted about 20 minutes on that.
That's rough.
Man.
That's I didn't watch it either.
I never heard of it.
What's his name, Tom? Chris.
Hemsworth.
No.
I'm a cool man.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Chris
What's
Evans.
wrong with my brain? You know,
Pine?
he's got the big beard now. He's really handsome. Pine. Yeah. Chris Pine. Yeah.
Oh, Chris Pine. That's right. Yeah.
So was it Pullman or Poolman or Brad Pullman? I'm not sure which one.
Poolman.
Pullman. Okay.
Oh,
That's my favorite Soundgarden song.
That's on actually that's on a lot of people's worst movies of the year list. Is Pullman.
It was bad.
Yeah.
It doesn't even sound good. Like, you mean the guy comes over to my mom's house once? That's the guy with the truck with all the chemicals in the back. He doesn't really. Gardner.
And he looks like a loser in this one. The pool guy. That's weird.
Like, no, that's authentic. It's
He
a
loves
cool
that
guy.
look now.
Yeah.
He made it.
I watched something last night just because, I do that. And it was with Ava Green, who I've liked some of the stuff she was in, but it was called Dirty Angels. And it was about a group of women mercenaries going into Afghanistan to rescue a bunch of girls who were kidnapped by, I guess, the Islamic State. And you think like, okay, well, maybe, that's an interesting premise. And no. No.
And I love Eva Green. God.
Yeah, she did some really good stuff. And then
she's definitely hit and miss. She's really hit and miss. There's a lot of times where, there's things, what was that Tim Burton movie? She starred in Miss Peculiar's or Miss somebody.
Yeah, Miss Peculiar's.
Samuel Jackson was in that. And
yeah. And she Penny Dreadful, the story she did with Penny Dreadful, that series was really good.
Yeah. She's such a good actress too, but she's always, it's like everything she does, like every other thing she does is horrible. But she's good in it usually. She's still good in it. It's just bad, So it's, but basically I thought it was a pretty good year for films. I really enjoyed, I even enjoyed Wolverine and Deadpool or Deadpool and Wolverine.
That was fun because it was making fun of itself really hard.
Really
the
hard.
Genre and everything.
Plus, if you're a comic book geek, you had all these in jokes. And when I saw it in a full theater, there's like, any given time, like there was 10% of the audience was laughing hard, and then there were, of course, moments where everybody's laughing hard.
And then just the Thor fans get it. Oh, just the Captain American fans are laughing at that one. What a nerd.
But the chemistry between you and Ryan, boy, you could just imagine them making love and how beautiful that would be.
Oh, wonderful. Look at this guy.
Oh, they're both growling, saying funny things. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah. And
I'll do a shout out for a new series on Netflix, The Pit. About emergency rooms with Noah Wiley, sort of like graduating to ER.
That's good.
I watched something on YouTube of an actual ER doctor reviewing the first episode, and he says it's the most realistic medical drama he's ever seen. That they really get what happens in an emergency room, and the way it's done, it's an hour-long series, and it's one day in the ER, the entire series. So the first episode is like from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. And they're going to do the whole series like that.
I was told it's very good.
Yeah.
Thanks for the recommendation. I'm always looking for something new. So, anywho, I think that's about it for us.
Well, that was fun.
It was
Yeah.
good seeing everybody. I don't
Well,
get out that much, and I only
nice to
see
see
you
you
guys. on
guys.
Facebook, so,
Yeah, it's really
yeah.
good seeing you all, and I just want to make sure that we let our audience know, please subscribe and like, because that helps us out and gets us in the algorithms, and gets us seen by more people like yourself. And we really appreciate all your support. So thank you very much, and thank you guys for being on the show.
Sure.
Love
for
to have
having
you
me. It was
back as
fun.
always.
That's
Great
fun.
job. Yeah, take care.
Brian for having this format.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.
See you next time.
Feel better or whatever.
Thank you, Tom,
Okay.
for coming in and stepping in.
Yeah, thanks,
You got
Tom.
Your voice is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Very good job.
Thank you, kids.
Oh, there
Whoa.
we go. Very
Was that your Robert Kennedy
Hey,
impression?
maybe
What I wanted to say was that it was great to be here on your show, and that it's all
Very good.
just I have no air going to my head. I don't know.
Exactly. Now I'm going to shoot a whale up with heroin and chow down.
I'll tell you, I think Tom's best impression he used to do was the Vincent Price.
Oh yeah.
You want to send us out with some
Oh,
Vincent
you're
Price?
just saying that, Tony. Tony's one of my favorite comedians, by the way. Little plug for Tony.
He's got the multi. He goes the high and the low and the soft. It's very almost gay.
Only when I get angry, Tony. You know how I get when I get angry.
That's how you end this show. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks. Take care.
Bye.